Hi, we're Maria and Vlad, two co-founders of Sea.dev. If you sell software to banks or lenders, you're probably under some pressure. Customer expectations have changed, and now more than ever, they're expecting more seamless digital experiences. Whether it's automated financial spreading, more instant credit decisioning, or tailored chat assistance. You're probably faced with two choices. You can embark on a costly and complex internal build, or you can embed business lending AI straight into your lending platform. You can think of us, Sea.dev, as an AI orchestration layer that was built specifically for business lending. We don't replace any lending platform, we give it a brain. And we do that by focusing on three things. The first is speed to market. You can flexibly and reliably deploy production-grade AI in weeks. The second one is revenue unlock. You can unstick those complex deals that freeze credit teams for weeks to months. And the third, of course, is trust. No black boxes, complete audit trails for every single data point. Let us show you how.
So our demo consists of two parts. In the first part, we will show you our engine, which powers everything in the background. And in the second part, we will demonstrate how its capabilities can be embedded directly into an existing loan origination system. So here you can see our financials form. And let's say we set up a deal for a company called Riverside Recruitment, and they upload their financials pack. So what's happening now in the background is our model is extracting their P&L data and mapping it to the credit policy requirements that have been defined by credit analysts using natural language instructions. While it's processing, let me show you what it looks like when it's done. As you see, every field has been extracted and linked back to the source document. For some fields like EBITDA, it has been calculated from 3 separate locations. And if the credit analysts needs to check that the calculation is correct, they can either look at the citations or they can ask, how is EBITDA calculated, and get a breakdown. Of course, they can also manually override any of the fields. This gives the credit analyst control and trust that all the data has been extracted correctly and completely. This form is fully flexible. You can add fields, remove fields, and you can also edit the natural language descriptions. For example, here I have the description for EBITDA. And of course, this does not only apply to financials. Any document from the borrower's document pack can be extracted in much the same way. Here I have an example of a bank statement. Once you're happy with the extracted data, you can click Finalize. And that sends a signal to our agentic system to start working on analyzing the data. Which brings us to our agentic layer. Within the same Riverside recruitment deal, we have set up a credit analyst agent, which is fully aware of the credit policy of the lender. And first thing they've done is they have compared the credit policy to the data that's just been extracted and identified that this application falls into the amber band due to its EBITDA and net margin. And note that each of these claims can be directly substantiated by linking back to the source. What this means in practice is that a deeper dive might be required. So what the credit analyst might do next is compare the bank statement information with the sales ledger. So let's ask it to do that here. And while that's happening, let us switch to the LOS view to show you how that can be embedded.
So what I'm going to show you now are the capabilities that you saw earlier, except now they're embedded within your own LOS. Underwriters and credit analysts, they don't want a new login, they don't want a new platform, they want to stay within their own LOS. And actually, this is where we see the most interest. Legacy LOS platforms or lending platforms that want to modernize because, say, they lag behind when it comes to document intelligence, or the underwriting processes are mostly offline. So what you see here, whenever there's a green or a black button, that's AI, that's the native LOS. And whenever you see a blue button, that's us, Sea.dev embedded. The result is the lending platform becomes AI-powered in days. So let's go through a typical workflow. It usually starts with the borrower submitting their borrower pack and a credit analyst picking it up on the other end. The difference here is that all the data that's required based on the credit policy has been automatically extracted. This applies to financials, as we saw earlier, with audit trails for every single field, as well as any other document in the document pack, say, a bank statement that might not be compatible with open banking, again, with an audit trail. The result is that you get a credit policy-ready data pack in instants, which accelerates analysis, and ultimately speed is a big driver of competitive advantage. At this point, it's time for underwriting. So here, the data that's been gathered and extracted is compared against the credit policy, and we see here the deal is mapped as amber or referred. Usually, this might sit in a queue for 3 days, while a credit analyst, say, goes line by line through the bank statement, through the sales ledger to get more comfortable with the cash profile. Here, instead, you can trigger an AI analysis that will go through these documents thoroughly to try and find the needle in the haystack. And in this case, what it finds is the discrepancy identified is due to a timing difference rather than any meaningful deterioration in the trading performance of the company. If the credit analyst at this point has further investigations, they can query the data directly through the chat to decide whether they want to progress to the next stage. So what we showed you today were two powerful capabilities, the data layer and the agentic layer, working in harmony to transform what we think will be the future of lending. We gave you trust with the source tracker. We gave you speed with flexible embedded pre-filling of data. And we showed you how you can unlock revenue by streamlining deals that stall pipelines and sometimes cause good deals to be rejected. If you're an LOS or a banking core and you're thinking about AI, don't build from scratch. Talk to us. We'd be very happy to partner with you and help you accelerate your roadmap. Come see at the booth afterwards. We'd be glad to show your API lives in action. Thank you.